Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of these dual tip sketch markers by Artist Loft. Now if you don't know what Artist Loft is, it is a Michaels brand. It's like their store brand of art supplies. This set comes in 24 colors and as you can see here, they have like a triangle shape to them. That way they don't roll away unless you're like me and you draw on a tilted desk. And me struggling to get the cap off. There's a brush end and then there's a chisel end. And I like working with brush tip markers, so I'm happy that these ones have a brush tip. They also have a little indicator to tell you which side is which before you open it. Now I'm going to swatch all of the colors for you. Now I did this after I did the artwork, so I can tell you a little bit about the experience with that. But ultimately these colors, they're really bright, and I was impressed with the ink quality, definitely. I think the 24 set has a decent color range, at least for me, because I like to draw characters, so there's a good amount of skin tones. You could do light, medium, or dark skin tones with this. I did have a problem with some of the nibs. They easily got damaged, and a lot of the ones that I kind of show you the tip, I used those colors a decent amount for my drawing, but that's the only drawing I've done with them, so I think that the ink is great, but maybe the durability of the brush tip is a little bit lacking. But overall, like, look at those colors. They're really nice. I did have an issue with them kind of smudging the ink a little bit. I don't normally have that problem with Copic markers or my Prismacolor markers. I don't know if it was just I didn't let the ink dry enough or what, but I actually used my heat tool that I use for drying my watercolors on it, and it still was a little bit smudgy in some areas, so I don't know. I'll have to experiment more with that, but ultimately I think I did. These are pretty decent. The color range is nice, and in a little bit I will get to the exact math on how much these colors cost per, or this brand costs per marker. Now if you don't know what Michaels is exclusive to the US and Canada, so unfortunately if you are not there, you aren't going to have access to these. So for the 24 set, it's $70. That brings it to $2.91 per marker. Now they do go on sale, and I actually had a 50% off coupon, so I got them for $35, which brings it to $145 per marker. This is all in USD. So really that's not bad, considering Copic markers retail for way more than that. And here I'm just showing the paper. I used this Canson XL Bristol for both the swatching as well as the little artwork piece. So they're definitely a low-cost alternative to Copic markers or even Prismacolor markers. Generally you can find Copic markers for around $5.50 on like Dick Blick, so definitely much cheaper than that. And they do have a whole wide range of colors. You can buy them open stock at Michaels, which is really cool. Now onto the artwork. So I inked this, well, this is the beginning of my troubles. I inked this with a Copic brush marker, and it's basically like one of their fine liner pens with a brush tip on it. And I wanted to use this because I really miss doing my more graphic, bold line art. Because in my watercolors I've been tending towards like softer, thinner line art, so I said I'm gonna use this brush tip, and it's gonna feel like the old days when I was drawing comics. which I really want to get back into, so I use this bolder marker. However, I don't know if it's just this marker or if it's the Artist Loft markers, but they did have some smudging issues. I do also, towards the end of inking this, I must have had some ink on my hand because I smudge her cheek a little bit, but I figured it's not enough to worry about and just scrap this. And I think ultimately it turned out pretty nice, but you'll probably be able to see, actually I think it's already on there, oh man, on her cheek. You can see it's on the right side. Oh, just a little teeny little, it makes me so mad. But anyway, I actually really enjoyed doing the line art of this, and I think that I'm gonna go back to doing more bold and graphic and comic book style line art even for my watercolor pieces, just because it feels so nice. And I think that another place that maybe I messed up this line art is I am tracing it onto my Bristol board right away from the light box. Instead, I usually trace it with pencil and then I go and do the line art. And I don't know, maybe I should have just done the extra step. I don't know if I was being impatient or if I just wanted to try it. Who knows? I don't know. It just, I could have made so many more better decisions. So something I do want to really emphasize with these markers is they blend incredibly well. Now, whenever I do marker art, I tend to do it on Bristol board. Was kind of my go-to when I was primarily doing marker and ink. But man, for some reason, these markers just blend so well. Did you see that pink blend in with that peach color? Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. I really didn't have any trouble with these other than that smudging issue. They work very similarly to every other brand of alcohol marker I've ever had. Them being only $1.45 per marker is pretty incredible in this pack. It's pretty unheard of. Oh, here you see me using the heat tool to kind of force some areas to dry. It helped, but it didn't help enough. I would say if you are going to use the Copic brush liner, whatever it's called, then just wait for it to dry completely. Just take more time. I'm impatient. And especially if you're using these markers, because I've never had the issue with other markers for some reason. I don't know if it is these markers or not, but just don't be me. Just be a little bit more patient. Just a little. Not even a lot. Just a little. I have no control over myself, and I'm always impatient for ink to dry. I just want to jump right in. That's just how I am, I guess. Well, anyway, back to the artwork. I originally drew this sketch in my sketchbook in November, October maybe, and I thought it would be a really cute thing to do with these markers. That's why she's supposed to be like a witch or something. She ended up looking very like she belongs in the Wild West or something. I don't know. There's been a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 going on. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I don't know, she turned out cute. Maybe she's a witch in the Wild West. I don't know. But I did this on, like I said, that Bristol board. It's only 10 inches by 7 inches, so it's a pretty small piece of board. It's just a teeny little sketchbook, and this paper worked really well. It blended with the colors, were able to blend and layer really easily. Like I said, just that smudging issue, and then the tips of the actual marker just started to fray, so I couldn't get really fine details. I think that's the biggest downfall to these, is just they aren't durable enough. Now, on every other alcohol-based marker I've tried, the Prismacolor brush markers, the Copic sketch markers and chow markers, even the Spectrum Noir markers seem to be a little bit more durable. Now, I've never had any fraying issues with Prismacolor or Copic markers before. The Spectrum Noir, they fray like a little bit after a decent amount of use, but this is just one fairly small picture that I colored, and it just could not handle it. I couldn't get into teeny little spaces anymore. It just was a big frayed mess. Now, I don't know if it's because they use a different material than Prismacolor or Copic. The brush nib on the more expensive brand seems to be like a rubbery kind of texture. Like it's soft, but it's not too soft. It's got some bounce to it. And that's kind of how these were initially until that fraying. I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of felt or something. That's what they looked like when they started fraying. They looked like a really damaged felt tip marker. But I don't know. If you're not going to be working this small or doing things that are super detailed, maybe that's not an issue for you. But for me, when I do characters, I really want to have precision, at least in like the face and the hair, so I can get into those thin areas that I just don't think these could hold up to in the long run. Now, a positive of these is they layer really, really well. If you put down a base layer and then do like a darker layer, a different layer on top, it really blends the colors really, really nicely. And I was really impressed with the ink quality. It's pretty incredible for this just being a store brand marker, and I'm sure that Michaels is just trying to hop onto that alcohol marker bandwagon that, you know, everyone and their mom is coming out with a alcohol-based marker. But I mean, I won't complain, especially if they're pretty decent. Then you don't need those expensive brands anymore to create the art that you're wanting to create. And I'm sure, just like every other marker, alcohol-based marker, these are not light fast, so these will need to be filed or put behind a UV protectant glass. Now, alcohol markers are never going to be they're never going to be light fast, because they are meant for reproduction. They originally worked for illustrators. They would be scanned and then put away, so keep that in mind. This is a medium that will fade if you don't take care of it or store it correctly, so make sure you are doing that, because you don't want your artwork to just be faded and not look how it used to be. Now, with that said, I will be posting this little drawing on my Etsy, so if you would like to own this teeny little I want to say painting. It's not a painting. Is it a painting? Do you consider marker art a painting? I don't know. I never really thought of it. Let me know in the comments. Is marker art, or is it paintings, or no? Let me know. Discuss below. Anyway, it will be on my Etsy, probably for a pretty low price, because it's teeny tiny and there's some mistakes to it, but I think it turned out really cute. So if you'd like to own this gal, you can hop over there. I might not have it up right away, but keep an eye out for it. Also, I was fortunate enough to be able to get a decent printer, and I will be doing prints on my Etsy as well. If you are interested in any of my artwork that I have posted here on YouTube or on my Instagram, then be sure to check out my Etsy and see and get some prints of it. They're probably just gonna be little prints, like 8x10s or 9x12s, but if you're interested, it will be there. probably around January after the holidays. So I hope you guys are having a good holiday time and aren't stressing out too much, and get all the presents that you want, and especially art supplies. If you want art supplies, it's pretty much all on my list. Anyway, here's the final drawing. I think it turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with these markers overall, especially as a cheap alternative. If you guys have any questions, leave them below. Otherwise, make sure you give this a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.